Hello, today I'm going to talk about this book that's called The World's Worst Children. And the author for this book is called David Walliams, and this is like a series, but it's like a book, like that's a book, and that's a book. Different books, but it's like a series. And when I read this book, done this book, I saw the back page and what it said, and then I knew why it said like that. But this book is like 10 stories of 10 different children that is very bad, and I'm going to tell 2 stories about them. Now I'm going to read the text back here. Please, 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 1,000 pleases, and yet one more please. Do not read this book. It was at this moment, it was at that moment I read that book that I knew why it said please, please, and 1,000 pleases, and yet one more please. Do not read this book. But I'm going to read the characters, so I'm going to say the characters of this, so the 10 children, and now I'm going to say Dribbling Drew, Bertha the Blubberer, Nigel Knitboy, Miss Petulia, Peter Picker, Grubby Gertrude, Windy Mindy, Brian Wong, who has never wrong, Ernest, Sophia Sofa. And the 2 stories I'm going to talk about today is Bertha the Blubber and Brian Wong, who has never wrong. And now I'm going to start with the first text. So I'm going to start with Bertha the Blubber. So it starts with Bertha. I'm going to say Bertha. She is 8 years old. In almost 7 years, she has just blubbered. She gets angry on many things. But it's 2 things she likes very much. To like cry and to eat pudding. And she has a brother that she really hates. One day, they was in like a store. And it was a really big or a large piece of cake, and she says, you can get my brother, so she wanted to trade, you can take my brother if I get that cake, and she shouldn't have done that, but that person at that store said no, he didn't want to do that. So that was good. So then Bertha, she did like tricks, so his brother gets in trouble. So she like pinches herself, like does like that, and starts crying and say, when the mom and dad comes, she's saying, so his brother Walliams, he's called. So Walliams had pinched me, and then the parent goes into the room and says to William that he had done wrong and he doesn't get pudding in like a month or a week. And then she wanted to take it too much. So then she's going to take off her hair. And when her mom comes in to the bathroom and says what has happened, and she's going to say that William had taken it out, and she did it. She taked, she screamed, but nobody came. So at last she take out everything, just 1 hair strand left, just 1. And then she hears something, and then the parents come in, her dad and her mom and her brother. So then those 3 come in and says like what has happened, and then she said Williams had taken off my hair, And then she got in trouble and she didn't get pudding. And she thought, okay, it's okay, just for one day. And then her mom said, ever again. So she's not going to get pudding ever again. And that's like how the story ended. And I say that story ended was very good. The next story that is called Brian Wong, Who Has Never Wrong. So one day, this person, Brian Wong, I'm going to say Brian. So Brian, he is like a normal person, just he loves very much mathematics, and he doesn't get homework, so he does homework for himself to do, and he does it every day. Like, this is one question, I cannot, I don't know how to do it, but I think you have just, like, how should I say, come up with the idea by that. And so it was like something my dad could do it before, but now he doesn't remember. It's this question, like right here. And if you can do this, say it, write it in the comments so I can know what the answer is. Because I don't know, not my dad either. But if you know it, say it in the comments. So now we're gonna start. So Brian, he does this homework every day. And one day he's going to school and the teacher says, in the mathematics lesson, who can say the highest number? He wanted to be like cool, and someone said 3 trillion, so 3 trillion, and he said 3 trillion and 1. And then someone said 3 trillion and 2, and he 3 trillion and 3 trillion and 4, and like that. At last the teacher had enough, just stop it. So then they stopped, and then the teacher says, it's going on numbers forever, it's infinity with numbers. And Brian wanted to show that it wasn't true. So every day he said like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he kept on doing that. At last he come like here, he's getting older and older. At last he's 103, or he's almost 103, like 9 gazillion 780 zillion 40 trillion 380 billion 92, like that. And he becomes 110 years old, and he's about to die. And he said like 11 gazillion 990 zillion 1160 million 603. At last he was going to die at last. And his friend at the school, when he was young, that friend wanted to come and say goodbye, and he said, why can't you just enjoy the moment you're going to die? And then he says, looks at him, and he's very, very angry. He said, you stupid fool, you made me lost count. So he's from 12 gazillion, zillion, trillion, billion, million, and 4. He's there, and he starts over. And he says 1, 2, 3, and just at last he dies. And it said he died with a smile on his face, and on his like stone where you write the name, it says like here. Here lies Brian Wong, who has never, ever, 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 ever wrong, especially not about the whole counting to infinity thing. And that was all for the two texts and for this book that was called The World's Worst Children. And this book is very good, very fun. It's very interesting to know about the children, what they're going to do. Are they going to do something good or something bad? And my best character for this book is like all the world's worst children. And my next book is a Swedish book. And goodbye!